Hey Shakers, and welcome to Worth Your Salt, the podcast that shakes up your marketing game in the health and wellness industry. Worth Your Salt is brought to you by Salt Marketing. Salt Marketing helps health and wellness practitioners build trust and authority to attract a steady stream of inbound wellness seekers. For more information, you can visit us online at saltmarketing.co. I'm Jennifer Orqua, StoryBrand Certified Guide, Marketing Strategist with Salt Marketing, and your host for today's episode of Worth Your Salt. Now, in today's world where wellness practices are more essential than ever, finding effective ways to scale your wellness business can be a game changer. Today, I want to help you discover actionable strategies to expand your reach, your impact, and your profitability in the realm of wellness without compromising your authenticity. I'm honored to welcome a true visionary in the wellness industry, Cate Stillman. With a rich tapestry of experience as an entrepreneur, Ayurvedic practitioner, and certified yoga teacher, Cate has been at the forefront of guiding individuals toward optimal health and well-being since 2001. As the founder of yogahealer.com and Yoga Health Coaching, she has cultivated a vibrant global community of wellness enthusiasts eager to elevate their personal and collective wellness. With a wealth of knowledge distilled from years of dedicated practice and study, Cate is uniquely positioned to share invaluable insights on how you can scale your wellness business. Get ready for transformative wisdom that will help you unlock the secrets to thriving in this ever-evolving landscape of wellness. Cate, I really appreciate you joining me today on Worth Your Salt.
Thanks, Jennifer. I'm excited to be here.
So, Cate, we almost always start with a backstory in Worth Your Salt. So share with us how you came to this point in your journey.
Yeah. So I started yogahealer.com in early days, like 2001, San Francisco. I was training as an Ayurvedic medicine practitioner and as a Iyengar yoga teacher, which were both like 2-year programs. So it was like before like the weekend workshop, be a yoga teacher kind of training. And I found that I was a content creator. So like back before we had those words, I would naturally create tip sheets and things for my friends and, basically found that I had a knack for simplifying ancient wisdom in a way that people could benefit in their just day-to-day experience. Like they could incorporate things just daily that would make a big difference. Fast forward a few years later. And I found by about 2010, 2012, other wellness pros were asking me why I was successful. And so then I started to share like the behind the scenes of how do you grow your wellness business. I found that most wellness pros are not centered on results. They're centered on experience. And that if they could become a little bit more results focused in their business model, that would greatly advantage both them in feeling the impact of their work, but also their clients for actually like not just signing up for an experience, but more of to solve like really deep problems. And that's different than teaching, or that's different than being a practitioner. So all that grew into Wellness Pro Academy.
Very nice. And that discovery of that it needed to be results focused, and that translated not just for your clients, but also for yourself as a business. Brilliant. And I know you mentioned to me earlier that you just hired 5 new employees. You just had a birthday yesterday. Yeah. You're an avid skier. You're a mountain biker. You're a surfer. You run this online wellness community. You host your own podcast. You've written 8 books over the last 9 years. How do you do all of this?
I have had a lifestyle driven business the whole time, which means that I lead from my lifestyle. And so that actually has opened up an enormous amount of time. I mean, we all do have 24 hours in a day, but most of it use them really differently. And what I found early days as an Ayurvedic medicine practitioner, like where does my unique genius intersect the marketplace? And when I'm in that, I'm in a flow state. And there's a lot of ways to work. I'm very impact driven. I have a lot of ambition. I've always had a lot of ambition for impact. I found that if I couldn't scale my impact, like what was I doing? And I find that the books are selfish in a way because they are very internally rewarding. Like they're a way of going into the deepest work. They're very much sabbatical type work, but they're also a way that I don't have to repeat myself. So I can say like chapter 3 and get a whole community adopted to chapter 3, right? There's so much lower leverage. And then if they can adopt their communities to chapter 3.
Yeah. Well, and I love what you were saying about it's a duplicatable system. Go here to chapter 3, and we're teaching the same thing because that makes sense to people, and clearly it helps you be scalable. But I want to go back to what you were saying a second ago about finding where your genius intersects the market. I want to talk about your book, How to Scale Your Wellness Business, because in it you talk about making that impact and reaching as many people as possible. So leveraging your expertise and your convictions to make yourself the go-to wellness authority. Like you talk about authentically building a club around your expertise. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. And I just want to say one thing too, right off the bat, because some people I know, I mean, I just know wellness pros inside out, A, because I am one of you. We have the same DNA. And B, because I've been working with wellness pros for 20 years. Some of us are meant to do really deep work with a small group of people. And I just want to honor that first and foremost. And then others of us are more like me, where it's like, the more the merrier. And we really do want to work with big numbers. Most wellness pros have no idea how many people they want to impact. Wellness Pro Academy, we help wellness pros of all shapes and sizes. I mean, everything from like the most woo-woo energy healer to a functional medicine doctor. You know, how do we develop a club around their unique expertise, around their vibe, around their convictions, and around their habits? Everything is lead from lifestyle. So we want wellness pros to be in integrity with who they are and what they're here to do, both from their, you know, for some people, they have 5 degrees, you know, backing up their wellness wisdom. For other people, it's very experiential, right? And we don't say that one is better than the other. It's like, if you can guide your people to results, that's how we're going to judge you. You know?
Right.
And so then the club model, what we find with that is it's pretty simple concept to understand. It's that if you have a community of belonging and becoming, if you have a club that a very specific kind of person wants to be in to get to results, they don't actually want to leave. So once they find it, they find also people they can grow with. We call that a growth group, right? So your club is a growth group. And then having an annual subscription, that's a serious enough investment for people to be invested.
Yeah.
So that's it. You know, it's like wisdom, habits, convictions, and then vibe is the other thing. It's like, have you read Sally Hogshead? I'm sure you have. Her whole personality typing system, How You Fascinate. So I'm a big fan of her thought leadership around, like, if you can accurately portray other people's experience of you, right? It just makes it easier.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And I know you've studied Alex Hormozi and, you know, the whole idea of building a club and building that community and offering more value. I would love to hear if you have some practical tips. And this goes right along with, you know, how you encourage people to be more ambitious. How can you effectively communicate your value proposition? So like, you do that very well. You articulate it very clearly, but a lot of wellness practitioners have difficulty. Like you said, they're supporter. They're thinking of everybody else. How do they articulate their own value proposition?
I mean, it honestly takes us 3 months with our wellness club, right?
Yep.
Because they come in and they have a mix of certifications and they identify with their certifications, right? More than their value proposition. So if they don't know the end results they can guide someone to, they don't know their value proposition.
Exactly.
They don't, right? So then it's like, well, what is their offer? It's like, okay, now we're gonna take your offer and we're gonna implement it, and it's still gonna take us a couple months to identify more with. Okay, I will adopt the club model, and I'm going to guide people to results through an experience where they have time.
Yep.
I mean, we're changing our brain, right, to be a much better leader, be a much better guide to people to results. And that's where we do experience the true value, right? Of like, wow, I can lead from my lifestyle. I can lead from my conviction. I can lead from me and my own personality. I don't have to be somebody else. I can lead from my wellness expertise, right? And you're going to get better at guiding people to results. And then when you meet someone, you're like, oh my gosh, the only way I can help you is if you're in my club. The only way I can guide you to results is if you're in my club. So that proposing of the value, right? What is the only way I can help you is to get to the specific end results that this person in front of me, this prospect, wants to get to. I propose I can get you there if you're in my club, because I've already delivered this value and I have all these member stories.
And then, you know, of course, this idea of enjoying the journey, not necessarily knowing what the outcome is. You've done a really fantastic job of finding opportunities to scale your business, like looking for those things that people were leaning into and places that you could leverage your expertise. How can practitioners do that? How do we identify opportunities to scale what we're doing?
I mean, to me, it all comes down to the business model. So most people have a dollar, like I call it transactional. So most people come to us with a transactional business model, meaning that they're disadvantaging their client, patient, or students to the end results that the client, patients, students want, that the wellness pro most wants to guide them to, because they have a transactional business model, which means that they're paying by the service or they're paying by the product, right? So it's not a business model that creates the community of belonging and becoming, where someone can actually get even. It's wild what happens. I mean, I've been doing this for so long, and like my Club Thrive members that have been into 2 to 3 years, like they can 10x the results the longer they're in the club. No one's taking on that responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
of saying like, hey, let me sit down and really figure out what's going on with you. Let me really figure out what you're going to need over the next year or two to experience what you're going to want to experience next in your life. And let me package, like, let me create an offering, right? That's actually going to get you there. Where I'm going to commit to getting you there as the wellness pro, and you're going to commit to getting there with your investment.
And it goes back to what you were saying earlier about trading time for money, as opposed to coming up with a system and a process that's going to get results. So I love that.
Yeah. And even those that don't think they're doing it because they're offering a course or a program, they don't realize that, well, what happens when it ends, right? Now that person who's built this bond, maybe with a group, right? In a community, maybe met their new best friends, maybe actually had a true mentor, guide, leader.
All right, Cate, I'm hoping our listeners are beginning to understand how you've intentionally created success, not just for yourself, but for others. I have to take a quick sponsorship break right now, but when we come back, I want to bring the conversation around to your specific habits and systems.
The Worth Your Salt podcast is grateful to our partners and sponsors. We know you're here because you want to build and scale your wellness business by providing exceptional value. In order to do that, you got to have a fully custom marketing plan that meets you where you are and brings clarity to your vision for the future. The problem is, the sheer number of things you have to pay attention to can feel overwhelming, which makes you feel like you might never achieve your goals. At Salt Marketing, we believe that creating trust and authority shouldn't be an ongoing struggle. As a Story Brand certified guide, Salt Marketing can help you gain clarity by applying the Story Brand framework to your growth strategy. Today, we'd love for you to get started with a marketing plan you can feel confident in. Head over to saltmarketing.co and take our 10-minute assessment. You'll get a free, customized marketing plan that will generate more revenue for your business. Visit us at saltmarketing.co to get your plan today.
I'm back here on the Worth Your Salt podcast with Cate Stillman, author, entrepreneur, and highly successful wellness practitioner. So, Cate, can you elaborate on your view of the role of habits, both in achieving wellness goals and in successfully scaling a business?
Yeah, absolutely. So habits is the core of my work. And I'll just tell a quick story about how I figured this out. Early days as an Ayurvedic medicine practitioner and a yoga teacher, yoga studio owner. And I started in 2002 offering the Yogi Detox, which still exists at yogidetox.com. And I found that people joining a 3-week detox where we basically rewired someone's daily habits and seasonal habits. So I've got all this one-on-one work, and then I've got this like 3-week habit change group work. Now, all my one-on-one work involved habit evolution, right? Like, we need to change these habits in order for you to feel better. But also take these supplements and follow the specific diet and blah, blah, blah. So what I found in like 3-week detoxes was massive evolution, like massive breakthroughs. I was like, holy cow, like it creates this community around habits. And these people have breakthroughs and they change how they are with each other. They keep their habits up, even between detoxes. Like, yeah, they totally slide and backtrack and all that, but they kind of know in the back of their mind what works for them. So my work just kept coming back to habits. I, for the first, 20 years was in the habits of circadian rhythm. And what they brought me to was the habits of the primal habits. As people say, they want the science, they don't, right? They just want to know that someone knows what the science is. They just want to know, like, what are the habits I'm supposed to be doing? Yeah. And that's primal habits and the habits before agriculture. So those are the habits that I do. They're the habits of why I have so much focus and so much free time and autonomy in my life. Why my child, like yesterday, it was my birthday, we snowmobiled into a hot spring at a waterfall. And, she was honestly in the cold water as much as the hot water. Like, she's automated cryotherapy as a 16-year-old. She does cryotherapy every day, at least once a day. She intermittent fasts. She's automated the primal habits, and she has so much autonomy over her life. She's a 4.0 student. She, without honestly very much effort, and she does what she wants to do. I've raised her primally, like beyond circadian, beyond the, like, these are the basic things to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. And going back to what you were saying about how people with the habits actually have more success than those who are, paying into giant transformations. So how can wellness practitioners sort of create that system to transform client habits and get them to success?
I mean, that's what we do in the business. Like, that's why we're in the club, is like, we know that we are an ultra social species. This is like, the data's in on this. Like, humans are an ultra social species. You pick up the habits of the people you're around. So if you're family has, say you're buying more processed food, you're picking up more pizzas to go or whatever, you're just kind of, in the like, I'm busy all the time, I don't have enough time, right? Then those are the habits that you're perpetuating around you. So what we find in the club model is if wellness pros can, and we do this with them in their offer, is like we figure out what are the habits that'll actually get their clients to results. What are the habits that they wish they personally had more integrity with? And we build the club around their habits. And then we do a lot of coaching around habit evolution science or behavioral science of like, how do you get a group of people to, both slowly and steadily Kaizen change their habits, but also have what I call great leaps forward.
Let's dig in a little bit on the club's idea. In your offer, you talk about, wellness professionals can triple their profits without increasing overhead. I'm sure everyone listening is thinking, how do I do this? So how is that done? How do you teach people?
Yeah. So, at Wellness Pro Academy, it is a club for wellness pros where we have this 6-step system. So the first is offer. Like we figure out what is in your club offer. Then 2 is club, like how we're going to build your club. We've used school since before Alex Ramosi invested in Sam Ovens' company. We were an extremely early adopter into school and into even Sam Ovens consulting programs, et cetera. So we kind of grew up on that. So that's number 2. And then 3, sales, 4, leads, 5, coaching, wellness coaching, and 6, systems. And it takes us, it depends on the wellness pro. Some wellness pros come in, they already have an email list. They already have, a booked out clientele, and they're just looking for scale. Others come to us and they've got like 25 offerings and there's like 2 people in each kind of thing all over the board. And they have like a little bit of a following on Instagram and, a couple hundred people on. So we're like, hey, just plug and play this stuff in, focus on leads and sales, start coaching, right? As you start coaching your members in your club, you're going to find out what they actually need. Then build your content, right?
Yeah. No reason to reinvent the wheel. You might as well lean into what we know works for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And then you just get really good at transformation. If you're with people jumping in the freezing cold water, it's way easier to do it together than it is alone. If everyone's doing it, it's easier together.
Absolutely. I'm wondering a little bit about more experienced practitioners. And you alluded to this in the varying levels that people come to you. But how do more experienced practitioners optimize profitability and sustainability once they've sort of been through? Because like you're saying, we're always by your side. We're going to guide you through. So how do you get, when you've kind of optimized everything, how do you get to that point of profitability and sustainability?
It's scalable because they're either going to scale with scarcity or they're going to, scale with more people in transformation. They're going to scale with marketing. So one or the other, right? So say they're, an hot in demand functional medicine doctor and their club's 10K and they want to work with 20 people. That's a $200K business. Say they decide they want to work with 40 people. Now they have it's like, it just scales, right? And so it's already a VIP offering that they have. Our clubs become networks. So they're also a people set. Like Wellness Pro Academy, the power in there is like you are hanging out in a collaborative leadership experience with 100 other wellness pros, right? And as we're teaching them that model, they naturally are like, oh my gosh, I get it. I'm experiencing it. We model everything we teach at both Club Thrive and Wellness Pro Academy. So all they have to think of is like, how's Cate doing it? Or what am I already experiencing over here? And then they get to collaborate.
I love that. All right, Cate, that's fantastic insight. It's time for another quick break. We'll be right back after this. Hey, Salt Nation, you're listening to the Worth Your Salt podcast. I'm Jennifer Oraqua, and today I'm talking with Cate Stillman about how you can successfully scale your wellness practice. We'd love to hear how you're creating mindset and habits essential to grow and scale, so be sure to join us over on Instagram, LinkedIn, or Facebook, and let us know how you're positioning your practice to take advantage of growth opportunities. Now, Cate, you have such an impressive body of work that I'm sure many of our listeners will want to explore it. But you're known for your ability to grow your audience and your following to build your many enterprises. So how do you cultivate and maintain that sense of community within this wellness space?
I'm very clear on my convictions around wellness. I'm very clear on my daily habits that I do and I aspire to. Of all my clubs, I'm a member as well as the leader, right? And so based on that, I can just speak from the experience and I can speak from my members' experiences. And what that does is it creates a community of belonging and becoming. So it's a, whether you're on my email newsletter, you listen to my podcast, or you're on one of my free Facebook groups, it's like, there's something in here that there's a vibe, that there's a reason to tune in. So then when people meet me, they're just like, oh my gosh, you're exactly like I expected you to be. It's like I've only heard that for over a decade. And I'm like, oh, that's good. because we've all met people that are different in person than they are online. And it's unsettling.
Definitely. Well, and I'm wondering that authenticity that plays in there. Any advice on navigating the challenges of this industry? Because there are a lot of people who don't walk the talk. So how do we navigate that?
Oh my gosh, it's like, I find like client repellent is and I grew up in a very classical yoga system, which I feel like had its own client repellent, which is like where you put yourself on a pedestal or you put the teachings on a pedestal. And it becomes so fragile because, first of all, then you have imposter syndrome because you can't be in integrity with perfection because you're human, right? And because you're not willing to call yourself out. And I've seen it in coaching wellness pros for well over a decade. It's like the ones that can't shake the, like, this is how I want to appear. They just can never get a gathering. They can't create a following, and then they find that, there's like one or two people that are kind of just like them that are trying to do this perfectionist. And so the more you're trying to portray yourself as like the perfect picture of health or the perfect picture of this or that, like the more you're going to lose in the marketplace. Yeah.
And I honestly think as a society, we're moving away from that idea of influencers who have cultivated this particular way of being, and definitely leaning into people who are more authentic, who are really there with us and understand what we've been through.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Because that's a whole other level of understanding. And that's what you lead from. Right. And so you can tell those stories from that place. I couldn't have written Witch's Cancer Journal in my 20s, 30s, or 40s. Like that was my 50-year-old book. There's just no doubt. I had to cross a threshold in order to do that. And so I just advise too, if like you are a younger wellness pro, have some respect for the aging process. Again, we're back to community and belonging and becoming. So if you're sharing from the raw experience without a deeper cultivated timeless wisdom, like it's not going to work that way either. So
yeah. But you make a really good point about crossing that threshold, into your 50s where you've gotten to that point where you do have that wisdom, that perspective that someone who's younger might not. And we all need to respect that. So I definitely, you've named a few of your websites and locations that people can find more information. But if I want to know more about you, about your online communities, books, any of the many things that you offer, where can we go online?
Yeah. So for wellness pros looking for wellness pro business stuff, go to wellnesspro.academy. And there you'll see in the upper right corner, you'll see a free training. And that's really the best way for you to tap into what we're doing, is just go there. If you're into primal habits and want to know me more as thought leader, go to clubthrive.global, to see if you're a good fit to be in Club Thrive. And if you just want to follow me, catestillman.com. So CATESTILLMAN.com. And that's where, if you want me to speak on your podcast or whatnot, you can go there.
Perfect. And of course, links to Cate's website and social platforms, as well as the ways you can connect with her resources, will be available on our website at saltmarketing.co. And I will definitely put that coupon code that you mentioned earlier there as well. But right now it is time for our lightning round questions. So these are a few quick questions I like to ask of every guest. Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right. First question is, what's something about you that often surprises people?
The depth of my urine therapy practice.
Interesting. That's a good answer. That's going to make everybody curious enough to look it up. Yeah, there you go. All right.
Primal habit.
There you go. All right. Next question. What is your favorite thing about the work that you do?
Getting people to results.
Yeah, I figured that was the right answer. All right. Next question. What's the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
Do the hardest thing first thing.
Yeah, eat that frog, right? All right. Last question. Who is inspiring you right now? What podcast you're listening to? What's the best book you've read recently?
I have my whole team plugged into Hormozy Nation.
Okay. That makes perfect sense. All right, Cate, thank you so much for joining me on this week's episode of Worth Your Salt.
Thank you, Jennifer. It's really a pleasure.
I also want to thank our audience and let you know that if you're ready for your Worth Your Salt debut, tell us about your expertise by emailing us at grow@saltmarketing.co. Be sure to subscribe on our website so you never miss an episode. And finally, leave us a review or give the show a handful of stars wherever you get your content. That's all for this episode of Worth Your Salt. Be sure to join me again next time. In the meantime, let's get out there and shake things up.